Welcome, Nikki, to the Secret to Nature podcast. We are thrilled to have you here. And I was referred to you by one of my very dear friends, Mindy, which made me all the more excited to meet you. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank
you.
So to kick things off, please tell us about yourself and what you do.
Okay, so my name's Nikki. I'm a beekeeper. I've been beekeeping for the past 6 to 7 years. I'm actually in school at Cornell to become a master beekeeper. So I'm hoping to graduate this summer. I have to do like a couple field, like a field test or whatever, but I'm going to be like 9 months pregnant with twins.
Oh my gosh.
What I'm going to do about that. So I have to just let them know, like, what are my options? So it might not be this year that I graduate. Maybe it might be next year or something, which is fine. You know, I'm constantly learning with beekeeping. It's a steep learning curve. It's pretty awesome. I started a business in beekeeping. Me and my mom both.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's a lot of fun. We make everything. We harvest the honey. We make stuff with the beeswax, including these luminaries. We also make soaps, lotion bars, skincare products, beeswax ornaments.
Oh, wow. Oh my God. I have so many questions already.
I know.
Did you get into beekeeping because of your mom?
No,
or did you go into it together?
I picked up a book, honestly, and it was called Beekeeping for Dummies. And I was like, you know, whatever, I'm going to read it, whatever. And so it was like such a page turner. It was awesome. Like I learned so much from that book. And then from there, I figured out like, it's better to like have a mentor. That's what I should have done in the very beginning. I didn't get a mentor, but I read like a ton of books. I joined like a beekeeping club. I joined like the state beekeeping club. And then I started from there, and you can actually get bees delivered in the mail. So that's what I did.
Like you can order them online?
Yeah, you can order them online. But
oh my God.
If anybody wants to get into beekeeping, I would suggest definitely find a mentor and buy local bees. Don't like get a package of bees. Okay. But so from there,
so many more questions still.
So from there, literally, you know, put the bees in the box and then went from there. It's awesome. I'm still doing it, still learning like crazy.
Do you have them at your house?
I have them at my house, and I have them on other people's properties. So people approached me and they said, would you mind putting bees on my property? One for like pollination services, and like, you know, I give them a percentage of the honey.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's people come to you when they need help with their gardening and stuff like that.
Yeah, basically. But the only thing is I just have to make sure, you know, since they're like agricultural livestock, I have to make sure that it's like zoned like a township ordinance. Like I have to make sure that their house, it's okay for me to put bees on their house.
Oh, wow. So each customer, you have to look into like where they're located and make sure you're allowed. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Do you live in Pennsylvania?
I live in Pennsylvania. All my beehives are registered with the state. That's another thing. Always make sure they're registered with the state if you're going to get started.
Wow.
And that's like the easiest thing to do. You literally just log on and you say, here are my beehives. This is how many I have. And this is like the property that they're on. And they just want to keep a record of like who has beehives. If there's an outbreak of a disease, they know who to contact if it's in that area. So
what kind of disease?
The main one is American foul brood, since that is like very contagious and very like detrimental to hives.
Okay.
So
what does that
so you don't mean diseases that bees carry?
Okay, so yes, it's a disease that a bee would carry, and it affects the entire hive.
Oh, wow.
But does it affect like other wildlife or just the bees?
This disease only affects the bees.
Okay.
So, but this is also important. Keeping your bees healthy, because there are diseases and pests that can be passed from a honeybee to other native bees or native pollinators.
Okay.
So that's why it's so important for beekeepers when they have bees to manage and inspect them. That's why they have like the removable frames. I wish I had a frame to show you guys, but like every frame, it's about 10 frames, 8 to 10 frames in the box. And you lift and you look at every single frame and you make sure you're looking for, you're making sure the queen's laying eggs. You make sure there's bees on the frame, there's pollen, there's honey, there's nectar. And then you're also looking to make sure that there's no like disease present. Like you can see there's problems with the bee, then you know that there's something going on.
What does it look like when there's something wrong?
So if there's something wrong with the bee, there's this one, it's called K-wing virus, and their wings are like unhinged. So they look like little Ks.
Oh,
and that means that they have mites, like tracheal mites. And that's a big problem because you don't see them unless you look at them under the microscope. That's when you would be able to see these tracheal mites. But another sign to detect it is this K-wing virus. And that's actually transmissible to other species.
Oh, wow. Is there like a solution for this that you can save the hive?
Yeah, you can do treatments to help with that. I haven't had any issues, knock on wood, with like K-wing virus. The only issues that a lot of beekeepers have are mites, like varroa mite, and they actually, when they bite the bee, they start sucking the bee blood basically, and they make the bee weak, and then the bee will become infected with like other viruses, and then that will cause like the entire hive to start to like dwindle down to nothing. So a lot of beekeepers, like that's what they face every year. So every year we're trying to make sure the count is low on the mites, and treat if you have to. And treatment is like what I use is like an organic method. It's called formic acid, and that like keeps the levels low.
Wow. I didn't know that there was like diseases that went through hives.
Yeah.
I know. And I love how we're talking about it in the first 5 minutes. Like we're getting to the juicy stuff.
Yeah.
Dive right in.
I know. I love it. So you said you're in school right now to become a master beekeeper.
Yeah.
So I guess you need some kind of certification in order to own them, or can anyone do it?
No, anybody can do it. But the thing is, like even with, it's an agricultural livestock. So think about it like, say you wanted to raise sheep or something, just diving into it, it might not be that great because you don't know what you're doing. So you have to learn what you're doing before you start getting bees. And one of the best places to learn is somewhere local, like your local bee club, and then they can like introduce you to a mentor. That's the one thing that I wish I had, was a mentor.
But you built this business without one.
Yeah.
And you seem to be killing it.
It took a long time.
So you definitely recommend learning, having a mentor, doing your research, but it's not like required by law, is what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, it's not. But it's definitely, the beekeeper's responsibility to make sure that they're inspecting and managing their beehives. Because, I hate when people say like, just leave the bees be. And it's like, no, like you're not supposed to do that. You're taking care of them. Like they're your livestock. So you have to manage them. Otherwise they can get sick. They can get other colonies sick. And then they can also get native pollinators sick. So, that it's a responsibility that you can't just, that I have the bees in my backyard and that's it.
So if you will choose to get involved, you got to be committed.
Yes, you have to be committed. So it's not a huge commitment either. Like I go out once a week. I have 13 hives and I go out once a week and I check all 13 hives. Each inspection takes about 15-20 minutes. And I'm basically just making sure that they have enough food, they're looking good, they're healthy, and that the queen is there. And one of the ways that I make sure the queen's there, because there's thousands of bees, I don't always see her. I make sure there's eggs. So as long as I see eggs, then I know,
she's there and she's healthy.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I was just about to ask you how often you have to do it. So once a week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do it once a week. That might be like a little too much, but it's recommended 7 to 11 days that you should be going into your hive. So I chose once a week. That's just how I am.
Okay.
So when you decided to go to school to become a master beekeeper, was that just you wanting to learn more, or what inspired you to do that? What will the difference be?
Yeah, I just constantly love learning. Like it's a certificate program. It's a 2-year program, and it's like full of information. And that's like what I love doing. I love researching. I love looking up and learning new things about something that I'm interested in. Like I'm also like a registered nurse. And
wow. You're busy.
Yeah. Well, I have the business is full time now.
Okay.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And like I just love continuing my education. I think that's like one of the most important things in any career, is to just make sure you're up to date with every information that's coming out, every new information that's coming out.
Yeah, that's good advice.
We do want to, of course, learn all about bees. I don't know anything about bees, and we have a lot of questions, but one more question about you. So you said you do it with your mom. So what sparked the original interest? Was this something you just were into since you were a kid?
With the beekeeping?
Just bees? Yeah, bees, beekeeping.
Yeah. So I love nature. Like ever since I was growing up, whatever, outside all the time, even when I was like a little kid playing with bees and stuff like that. But like really sparked it was when I got that book, and like reading it, like it was the coolest thing. Like it broke it down by like bee biology, and then like what you can do with your honey, and how many health benefits there are to your honey, the beeswax, pollen,
right.
Resin, like they're all the products of the beehive. It's just full of like health benefits, and that like sparked my interest to like start making products out of products of the beehive. And then my mom was like, "That's awesome, yeah, like let's start doing this." And then that's how the business grew. Yeah. And so like we work together, and we just fire off ideas and constantly come up with new things. So it's really fun working with my mom.
I love that you were saying you were like a kid playing with bees, because like the average person is horrified of bees.
Yeah.
Like they run from them.
Yeah. And it sucks getting stung. I mean,
yeah, for sure. But I mean, my cat scratches me and it hurts really bad, and I still have him in here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you're right. That's so funny that you bring that up, because like when we do events and stuff like that, they're like, "Oh, honeybees. I'm so afraid this and that." Honeybees and wasps. Everybody talks about wasps and how like everybody should hate wasps. No, wasps are really good too. They actually pollinate, and they eat like garden, bugs that aren't like that great for your garden pests. But
right.
like I get it. Like honeybees, they're not attacking you. They're just defending their hive. You're probably close to their beehive, and they feel you as a threat. But usually if there's a bee hovering you, and if you don't swat at it or do anything, she'll leave you alone. She'll fly away. I know it's really hard to do. Like I get it. Like it's really hard.
I mean, they defend themselves just like any animal would.
Yeah.
So
and I feel like people don't get stung that often. Like I maybe got stung once in my whole life, and there's bees around me all the time in the summer.
Okay, yeah.
It's just an irrational fear people have.
Exactly.
Well, some people are severely allergic. Totally understandable. But like I'm not allergic, and I was always horrified of them growing up. So that's why I'm excited to learn about them today.
Yeah, they are so awesome. Bees are like the coolest little creatures.
So how do they do in the winter? Like, do they hibernate? Like right now, are they active at all?
So they actually cluster up and keep the hive warm. and they can keep it, they shiver their wings and their bodies to a temperature where they can get it up to like 94 degrees.
Wow.
And they'll go from the outside, the shivering bees on the outside, they'll move in, and then other bees will come out, and then they'll shiver, and they'll just keep repeating the process. So they don't actually hibernate. They stay awake the entire winter, keeping the hive warm. And the honey that they have is their food for the winter time.
Okay. So do you collect honey in the winter or no?
No. The end time that I collect honey, harvest honey, is like early August, very early August, because then the rest of the month is like the last nectar flow. So I leave that all for the bees, and then if they need extra, I give them some sugar water.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've heard giving them sugar water helps. Like one time I saw one, it looked like it was dying, and I Googled it and it said give sugar water. I don't know if it survived, but I hope so.
Probably did, yeah. If you saw it fly off, it probably survived.
Go ahead, Rach.
Okay. I was also gonna say, what's like growing up, I always thought, I guess they're just bumblebees. They're like the fatter bees. I thought those were honeybees growing up, but they're completely different, right? They don't make honey.
So bumblebees will actually make a little bit of honey.
Oh, they do? Okay.
And they make a little bit. So they're a really like pretty awesome species. They're our native pollinator. They're one of our native pollinators. And they're also like a social group. So there's like a queen and then like workers and stuff. But it's not like you can take a colony and like take honey from them, but they do produce a little bit of honey.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like I see them more often than like the smaller ones, the honeybees.
That's great, because they're like a lot of our like native species of pollinators are like on a decline.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And it's one of the reasons is because of habitat loss and some pesticide use. So the fact that you're seeing them, that's great.
I know, I get excited when I see them.
They are really fascinating. They do this thing where it's called buzz pollination. They're like one of the only bees that do this. It's one of the ways that they pollinate tomato plants, and they'll like vibrate the flower and it'll drop the pollen. It's pretty cool. Like honeybees can't do that.
Oh, that's cool.
Like a really cool thing that bumblebees do.
Yeah, they're kind of cute too. Like
They are.
They are cute.
Yeah.
So are honeybees endangered, like officially endangered?
No.
Okay.
They are
not.
That's
good.
Yeah. So this past year, there was about 45% loss in colonies by beekeepers. It was like reported by the Bee Informed Partnership, and they haven't seen that type of a loss since the early 2000s. But they also said that it's not like affecting the population. Like the population is not in decline. They're not threatened right now. But they want to figure out like, well, why is this happening? And, what they can do, like, to kind of fix that in the future.
Yeah, because I think people are very much on board with like the current movement that is like Save the Bees, and like we're so here for it. But I do want to talk about it because I want to talk about like, so why is it that they are on the decline?
Right. So one of the biggest things is the habitat loss and pesticide use. So when I think of Save the Bees, I think it should be really Save the Pollinators, because it's a lot of our pollinators are just grouped in that Save the Bees thing, and nobody sees the other pollinators like our native mason bees, the bumblebees, leaf cutter bees, all of these other bees that are just grouped in the Save the Bees thing, but everybody gives attention to the honeybee, which is fine, but there should also be recognition about our native pollinators who are really on the decline. And one of the biggest is the habitat loss and the pesticide use. I was just reading an article about neonicotinoids, which are used everywhere through like nurseries, farming, and even like the recommended level that they, use is like pretty detrimental to our native pollinators and honeybees. So like, just using just that neonicotinoid will like kill the bee, probably the pollinator, and it's used everywhere. So that's the problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I've heard of that. It's really sad that there's not more regulations on it.
Yeah, it's scary. It's it's actually really scary because depending on how it's applied or how it's used, if it's used improperly, then it's definitely a huge problem. If it's used on flowering plants and stuff like that.
So I do want to keep this lighthearted. So I'll ask this now and then we can go to more lighthearted stuff. But what would our world look like if the decline stays like steady? And what would our world look like without bees?
Well, we probably wouldn't have any fruit, vegetables, nuts, anything that relies on bees for pollination. We will not have. We'll have a really hard time finding food.
Yeah, it's insane to think about.
Yeah, that's a serious problem that I don't think people really think about at all.
No, yeah, exactly. I don't think they think about it either. It is definitely crazy.
Mm-hmm. It's sad, but maybe our generation will help.
Oh my God.
I
feel like every episode of this podcast, we're like, oh, we're just really banking on our generation to fix this problem. And like, it's like every problem. But here's hoping.
I have hope. I think, this generation, next generation, I think we're like the ones that are like finally like realizing, hold on,
waking up.
This is legal?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
We gotta wake up to it.
And then like, just to bring up, like I did have like one of my hives was exposed to pesticides. And the reason why I started researching the neonicotinoids was because I called the farmer that was like kind of around the corner, and he said he sprayed it on flowering clover. And then I started researching it, and I was like, that's like not even the right way to apply that, pesticide. So then like it makes me, like obviously upset and angry. First of all, I lost basically my beehive, but also like all the native pollinators that went to that flowering crop probably died. And a lot of our native pollinators are solitary bees or, solitary pollinators. So they don't have a huge hive to come back to. Yeah. And,
so not all bees are social. Like not all bees live in like a giant hive with a queen bee. That's like specific to a honeybee.
Yeah, bumblebees are also social, but most of all of our other pollinators are
solitary.
Solitary, yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
because I also think like wasps' nests. Like I just assumed all of them were just social.
Right. Yeah, but mostly like our mason bees, leafcutter bees, they're all solitary.
Wow. How can you tell the difference between all these bees?
It took a lot of research, but mason bees and leafcutter bees and sweat bees, they're all like smaller. They almost look like flies.
Wow.
My favorite is the sweat bee because they're metallic and they're green and some are blue.
I'm Googling a picture.
Yeah, they are so cool looking. It's like one of my favorite things to do is like run out into my garden and take pictures of them because they are like gorgeous.
Oh my gosh. So it's green. I would see this and they're very tiny. So like that's something that I would see and really think it was a fly.
Yeah.
I feel like I know what you're talking about.
They're so pretty.
Like that's crazy. I don't know. You can't really see. There we go.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, they are so
crazy.
Oh, they are really tiny.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. What about carpenter bees? I always get them around my house. They like go into the wood. Do they pollinate?
They do. Yeah.
I don't
a
know
lot
if
of
they just eat
people-
wood.
A lot of people think they're a little bit of a nuisance because they drill into either the side of their house, their deck, or something like that. But they're pretty important. They pollinate. They're pretty cool. I like them. They're big and shiny, goofy looking.
Yeah. Have you ever seen one of those how do you say it? Those bugs that like buzz around in the summer, they come up every like 7 years.
Locusts?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
locusts.
Cicadas.
Yeah, cicadas. I couldn't think of the word. A cicada
We
bee.
had like a huge, flock of them this summer.
Yeah. Have you ever seen like the cicada bee that like they eat the cicadas?
Oh yeah, the
Those are kind of scary looking.
Yeah. They're big. They're like literally this big.
Wait, wasn't that like the whole thing this past year that like everyone was, it was like one thing after another. There was COVID. There was like the government was talking about aliens, and then there was what was the bee called? The murder bee.
Hornet.
The murder hornet.
Yeah.
Thank you. What do you have to say about the murder hornets? Because I don't like, was that even real?
Yeah, they're real. It's the Asian not honeybee, Asian hornet, I think. Don't quote me on it, but they're out in California right now. I think they eradicated them. Maybe we don't have to worry about it, but we do have like some wasps that look similar to like the murder hornet. So every once in a while I get like a picture and they're like, is this a murder hornet? No, it's okay. You don't have to worry about it. We're good.
I thought the murder hornet was the cicada eater. Maybe that's different. I don't know.
They're different, but they look very similar. They're a
They're
little
scary
bit. The cicada killer is a little bit smaller than the murder hornet.
It's smaller. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
And it must be huge.
the murder hornets are pretty big.
Well, I'm glad they have them out west. They have all the crappy stuff out there.
Might be eradicated. I'm pretty sure they got them out.
That's good.
But there was like a little bit of an outbreak. I was like, great.
Oh my gosh.
Honeybees have to worry about.
Yeah.
I'm learning about so many different kinds of bees that I've never heard of in my life. I love it.
Yeah, and that's like one of the things I love. Like when I take my honeybees out, like I take a frame of bees and I put it in like an encased like little thing frame or whatever, and I take it to events and people talk about the honeybees, but I also talk about our native bees because nobody really knows about them.
Right.
And that's what I love. Like everybody's genuinely interested in learning about our native pollinators too, especially like my community is a lot of gardeners, so they like want to help. They want to decrease their use on pesticide, and another big problem is lawns. And it's like, why have a lawn? You should maybe work a meadow in instead. That way you bring more pollinators to your house. And I think it's awesome. When I go in my backyard and I see all these pollinators, like I just want to take my camera and take pictures of everything because it's like so cool seeing that.
Yeah, I was really lucky growing up because like my backyard has so many like flowers and plants and trees. And we also have a lawn, but like there's still a lot of stuff back there. So I got to see lots of bugs growing up.
Yeah. And they're just like, they're cool. They're cool looking.
I feel so sad when I see people with empty flower beds and I'm like, plant some flowers.
Please, you need color.
Or like they sell those seeds where you're just supposed to like sprinkle them in your backyard and like just like wildflowers will grow.
Yeah.
I feel like I tried to do that once and they didn't grow, but then again, I can't really like save a plant or keep a plant alive to save my life. So
there's probably a technique to it.
Yeah, I saw those like little seed balls before, and like you just throw them in your garden. I did that before, nothing happened. I'm like, I'll just get a plant, I guess.
Yeah. So I'd love for you to like explain to us what the bees make, because I've heard of propolis and royal jelly, but I feel like a lot of people don't know what those two things are. They just are familiar with honey.
Right. Okay. So royal jelly is actually produced by let me start back real quick. So in the beehive, all of the worker bees are female. So all the females will take care of the queen. They'll take care of the bee larvae growing up. All the individual cells, they'll feed all of them. And the ones that are feeding all the bees are called nurse bees. So those bees have a special gland almost in their mandibles, and they feed the bees. It's called royal jelly. They also feed the larvae pollen, but if they're making a queen, she gets a lot of royal jelly. And so they make the queen, she's got the royal jelly. So if you get a product with royal jelly, they take the queen out, they toss her aside and take that royal jelly out. So that is specifically for feeding bee larvae.
Oh.
Okay.
And propolis is actually like bee glue. They'll go, so the foragers, all the female, the female worker, she'll become a forager, the last worker job of her life. She'll go out and forage, and she'll land on trees and collect resin. And then she'll go back to the hive and she'll chew up the resin and then put it in places where there's like cracks or somewhere where they need, bee glue basically. And people collect that too. And it has a lot of health benefits, a lot of good properties to it.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I take a prebiotic, and I think it's like pre and probiotic, and it's made from bee stuff. I think it's propolis in it. I got it from Beekeeper's Natural. Have you heard of that brand?
I think I have.
I like it though. It seems
pretty
to work.
awesome.
Mm-hmm. And I know it's in it, which makes me feel better.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I thought about collecting it as well, but I just didn't have a lot of it this year. Next year, I'm thinking about I just want to leave it for the bees, because we actually just found out that the propolis has all this antibacterial properties to it that actually helps prevent diseases within the beehive. So what people are doing is they'll take a window screen and they'll staple it to the inside of the beehive, and it's called an envelope. And then the bees will put propolis all along this screen, and it'll create a propolis envelope, and then it'll kind of protect the bees a little bit more against diseases.
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Actually,
so it has awesome benefits to the bees and to us.
Yeah. I saw a TikTok. I follow a beekeeper on TikTok, and there was a dead mouse in the hive, and I think they wrapped it up in propolis.
Yes, they did.
They mummified it.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
So what was the first thing? The jelly. What is that called?
Royal jelly.
Royal jelly. So the way, and I could be wrong, the way you described it, it sounded like it's something that if we take it for our own use, it's harmful to the bees, or did I miss
No,
it?
It's kind of true. I mean, it's not harmful, but the queen bee is basically thrown out.
Right.
So she dies for the royal jelly that they harvest.
Because it's only meant to feed the larva.
Exactly. So, the bee larvae, they get a little bit of the royal jelly, but the queen gets a lot of it, and that helps her become the queen.
So, the propolis, it doesn't seem like it's as harmful to take that, and it has a lot of benefits for humans. Does the royal jelly have any benefits for humans?
Apparently, it has also antioxidants, a lot of minerals and enzymes and stuff like that. It could be beneficial, but I'm not really too sure. I don't want to say, and it gives health benefits.
Right.
Really might not. Yeah.
Well, I know honey, if you're buying the right kind, if you're buying raw local honey, that's supposed to be amazing for your health. Can you tell us some of the health benefits for just consuming honey?
Yeah, it's so raw honey if it's pasteurized, it loses its enzymes and stuff like that. So raw honey also contains live enzymes. It has yeast, bits of pollen in it, antioxidants. It has, it's made from flowers around your area. So of course it's going to help with your allergies. That's like one of the biggest things that people want raw local honey for is your allergies, because of the fact that it has bits of pollen in it. So, you know, you're basically, when you take a spoonful of honey every day, you're like making your body recognize that, you know, pollen every day. Like,
so you won't have as strong of a reaction to it. That makes so much
Exactly.
sense. Wow.
Yeah. And it is like a cough suppressant. It really is.
Oh my gosh. When I have a sore throat, I am like eating the honey. Like I'm just eating like it by the jar. It's so helpful.
It is. It's pretty awesome. Honey it's also like, it has like a lower pH. So when I worked in the hospital, they were testing out this new type of bandage, like to put on wounds, and it was called Meta honey. And it's a certain type of honey. It's not like local raw honey. It's a certain type of honey collected from a certain type of flower. And it would like help heal wounds.
Wow.
Yeah. So that brand is actually like out and available, but it's got like, you know, honey is just amazing.
I know people use it for skincare too.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what we do. We use it for our skincare. So honey is pretty awesome with skincare. Obviously the wound dressing that I was talking about, how it helps with wound healing. It's amazing, that product, the Meta honey. So we use local raw honey in our skincare, and it acts as like it pulls moisture from the air and, you know, moisturizes your skin basically. So honey's, and we also use beeswax, and beeswax is almost like a protective barrier, like a natural protective barrier. So when you're using it on your skin, it, you know, combined with like other, you know, butters or oil or something like that, it provides a protective layer on your skin. Like one of our, you know, biggest things is lip balm.
Right.
Obviously, yeah.
It's like Burt's Bees, but local and small business. Love it.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I get it all right from the backyard hives. It's awesome.
That's so amazing.
Yeah. So the beeswax, did they make the beeswax?
Yeah, they do. It's really cool. So they actually produce it from their abdomen, and then they take it and chew it up and form it into the hexagon shapes.
Oh, that's what that is. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. And
That's
it's really cool how they do it. So inside the hive, they like measure out the bee space, and then they figure out like, okay, so if I'm going to make you know, a whole, you know, frame of beeswax, I need this much space, and they all climb together. It's called festooning, and it's like a line of bees, and that's how they measure the bee space. And then they start making the you know, the frame of beeswax. It's so fascinating. They're like cool. Little math magicians, or, you know, math magicians.
They're smarter than they look.
They really are.
I actually, because I know like candles, if you buy candles, there's like a lot of harmful stuff can be in candles.
Exactly.
And I bought a block of beeswax and made my own candles with it last year, and 10 out of 10 would recommend.
Yeah, that's another thing we do too. Yeah, beeswax, it has like no like, you know, bad impurities putting into your air or anything like that. Yeah, it's like a natural good burn.
Okay, that's cool. Because I heard like candles are bad for cats and stuff, so I always feel guilty lighting one. I have to get beeswax then. Yeah,
I would still be careful, since, you know, it's a lit, you know, a flame.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Animals or kids.
I keep it out of reach.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I want to go back to, you were describing what the female bees do in the hive. What do the male bees do?
So the male bees are, you know, they're really good. They're great.
I know what you want to say. The women are doing all the work, aren't they?
They are. They do all the work. The male bees will basically just be in the hive to eat and mate. Exactly. So the queen will only mate once in her lifetime. She'll leave the hive twice in her lifetime. One to mate, and then the other time is to swarm. So when she goes out on her mating flight, she could fly up to like 9 miles away just to make sure she's not getting, you know, bees from her colony drones from her colony to mate with her. So she'll fly far away, and she can mate up to with like 10 to 17 different drones. So the drones provide like genetic diversity, which is really what they're good for. Like one of the only things that they're good for.
I read once. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I don't know why I thought the bees came to her. That's what I pictured.
They do. So when she's flying, when she's out on her flight, they find her, which is like crazy. It's called a drone congregation area, and all the drones will congregate like somewhere outside the hive, and they like know, they can almost like smell like her pheromones, and then they'll just all start flying around her, and then those lucky ones will mate with her, but unfortunately they die right after they mate.
Yeah, so I read once, and you can tell me if this is complete like BS. I read once that after they mate, the female bees will rip the heads off of the male bees, and of course, like every like feminist on my Twitter timeline had a field day with that. But I just want to know if it's true.
No. So he'll mate with her, and he'll basically like die after. Yeah. If you're close enough, you could almost hear like a pop in the air.
Oh wow! Like of just that's them dying.
Yeah, like after they mate.
Wow.
Like that strong of a.
Gotcha. So it's like instant. It's like instantaneous. It's like instantaneous after it happens.
Yeah, they just die. Yeah.
Oh
they served their purpose.
Yeah, genetic diversity is the greatest thing.
Imagine seeing that out in the wild.
I know, I would love to.
They're just bees dropping dead.
You also were talking about earlier when we were talking about queen bees, because I think Rachel did have a question in her notes about like how a queen bee is chosen, and you made it seem like they're chosen like at a very early age, like they're raised to be the queen.
Yes. So within the first 3 days, that's when a larvae is an egg. So the bees will look at a frame of all the larvae, and each cell has a different aged larvae in it. So they want to pick something very early. So within those like 3 days, they'll see it's an egg, and they're like, okay, let's pick this cell. This cell will be our queen.
Oh, wow.
And one of the reasons why they pick a queen is because number one, they're the queen has decided she's going to swarm, so they're going to start making queen cells, or swarm cells, or the queen died, and now they're like, it's almost like an emergency, they need to make a queen. Or if the queen is not sufficient in what she's doing, they'll supersede her and they'll make a queen, and then they'll kill the older queen, the mother queen.
Wow.
And they kill her by balling her up. It's called like the cuddle of death, the cuddle ball of death.
Never heard of it. Oh my god. Oh wow.
Yeah, so but there's a reason why they did that. There's a reason. She wasn't laying right, or something wasn't right. So
or maybe I was gonna say like maybe if she's sick, but I guess if she's sick, then they're all sick, right?
Not necessarily. If she's sick, they can detect it and they'll get rid of her. Just like if bees are sick in the hive, if one bee isn't feeling, they'll leave the hive, because they don't want the entire hive to become infected.
They don't want to contaminate everyone.
Exactly.
Right?
So they'll leave and they'll die like somewhere, outside the hive. Bees are like super clean out, insects. So, like I was saying before, each, worker bee has a job throughout her lifetime. Like after being a nurse bee, one of their duties is to like clean out the hive, basically. So if a bee dies, they'll take the bee and fly out with it, the dead bee, and fly out with it. They don't go to the bathroom in the hive. They go outside. Even in the wintertime, when it's like finally like a nice day out, they'll do a cleansing flight. They'll like fly out of the hive and do cleansing flights.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I had a question. I can't remember.
How long does the queen bee live, and how long do the other ones?
That was my question.
Yeah, so queen bees can live anywhere between 3 to 5 years, and a worker bee will live, her life is about 45 days. She like basically works all the time, all the way up until her death. The queen is taken care of, and like because she got the royal jelly and other things when she was, getting ready to emerge out of her cell, it gives her, like almost like longevity. So she, 3 to 5 years for the queen worker bee, 45 days, and a drone is about like 3 months.
Gotcha.
If he doesn't mate.
Okay.
So they wouldn't usually mate earlier than the 3 months?
Within that 3-month time frame.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, yeah, because I figured they would have lived, and the drone is the male bee.
The drone is the male bee, yes.
I figured they would have lived the shortest, but I guess not.
Not necessarily, no, yeah.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's crazy that the queen bee lives up to 5 years.
And she was built to last.
She was built to last, yeah.
Yeah.
She's pretty crazy. She can lay up to 1,500 eggs to 2,000 eggs a day, depending on how much room she has in the beehive.
So every day?
Every
laying
day.
eggs?
Every day, 1,500 to 2,000 eggs.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like 5 years is long for any type of bug.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think like that must be like the longest, but usually like for my bees, it's about 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
As they get older, they don't produce as good. So I like to, raise a new queen at that point.
So the queen bees are really the only ones that are laying eggs. The female bees that aren't queen bees are just workers for the hive.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So their ovaries are suppressed by the queen pheromone. So
oh my gosh, she's the supreme.
She is, yeah. So if the queen dies and they don't make a new queen, those worker bees will start laying eggs, but they're not fertile, so they'll only turn into male bees. So then you'll have a whole hive of male bees, and that's not going to do anything.
Right.
So it'll just end up like collapsing, basically.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, so it is actually really fascinating. So when the queen bee lays her eggs, she determines if it's going to be a fertilized egg or an unfertilized egg. So when it's an unfertilized egg, it will be a male bee, and then a fertilized egg will be a worker bee.
So I guess you can decide, like, what do we need here? Like, how many do we need? Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Wow. I didn't know they got to decide.
What was that?
I didn't know they got to decide.
Oh, I know, right?
That's crazy.
Yeah, she actually can like control the sperm, like in her abdomen. She can control whether the egg gets fertilized or not.
That's crazy.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my
Only
gosh.
humans could do that.
Oh my gosh, so many problems would be solved for so many people. No birth control.
Yeah. Right.
Wow, these female bees are bad bitches. I have to say it.
They are so awesome.
That is so awesome.
Yeah. And like it's like fascinating. Like when I think about it, like, when I open up the hive, like they're working in complete darkness. Like that, inside the hive, it's complete darkness. So they rely on like other senses to, communicate with each other. And a lot of the communication is through pheromones. And when I open up a hive, like you can smell the pheromones. Like it smells so good. It smells like lemongrass.
Oh wow.
One of the when a forager bee like finally becomes like a forager, one of the first thing that she'll do is leave the hive, and she'll do orientation flights because this is the first time they're ever leaving the hive. So they do like this figure 8 pattern, like right in front of the hive. It's really cool to see. And then other bees will like be planted outside, and they'll have their abdomens up in the air, and the last segment of their abdomen will be exposed. It's called the Nasonov gland. And that's like their homing pheromone. And that's the pheromone that smells like lemongrass. And it's like all the smells in beehive are like amazing. When you get stung by a bee, it smells like bananas. That's like their alarm pheromone.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Is it true that they die when they sting
Yeah.
you?
I was gonna ask you that. I didn't know if that was like a myth or not.
That is true. It pulls out their entire venom sac and it pulls out some of their guts too. So if you talk to a beekeeper, you know for a fact they're not going to be eating any bananas before they open up a bee.
I guess like when people get stung, they're too busy thinking about the pain to notice the banana smell. I've never noticed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it literally smells like a Laffy Taffy banana.
Oh my gosh. So like fake banana?
Yeah. To me, it's like a fake banana. Yeah.
That's so interesting that the hives are dark because like I envision them to be like a gold glow.
Yeah.
I know, right? Yeah. Well, when you pull them out, it is just like that. It really is. Like the bees are golden and beautiful. The honey, like the nectar, and the pollen, everything. And it's really fascinating with like the pollen. It's all different colors. Most of it, like I see, is a lot of yellows, but it's like a rainbow. Like there's like dark purple, red, light yellow, orange. It's so pretty to see.
Plus like the honeycomb like design, like it's just literally it's in nature. It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like a perfectly geometrical like pattern. Crazy.
Yeah. I've always wanted to try like raw honeycomb.
Oh, I have it if you want some.
It looks so like, I don't know, just the look of it looks good. Does it actually like taste really good too?
It tastes amazing. It really does. The entire thing's edible, like the wax, but a lot of people, even like myself, like I end up like chewing on the wax. Like gum almost, and then spitting it out. But if I like put it in yogurt or something, I do eat the whole thing. It's so good. Like that is like the rawest of the raw of getting.
Yeah, it looks really appetizing.
Yeah, you should totally try it. It's really awesome. It's really good with cheese, like on
I'm sure.
or bread or something like that.
Oh my gosh, cheese. Could you imagine like going to someone's house, they have a cheese board and it's like this is some real honeycomb, like raw honeycomb. That's insane. That's the next level.
That is.
I'm learning so much today.
Oh, good.
I know. So there's like so many interesting facts about bees, to be honest.
There really is. And there's like so much more that we have to like learn from them or learn about them. They are so fascinating. And one of the things that I love about it is the pheromones. Like, I wish that you guys could be with me when I open up a beehive just to smell that smell. Like,
I want to make a YouTube video with you because we do have a YouTube channel. We really only post like our interviews on it, but I would love to like make a YouTube video at your beehives.
Yeah, it is so awesome. I would love to do that. Like,
that'd be really cool.
Rachel, I want you to ask your question about protection though.
Oh yeah, do you wear protection? Because I see videos all the time of like beekeepers wearing nothing and they don't get stung.
So most of the time I do. I like wearing the protection because I really don't like getting stung. It sucks. Like,
does anyone?
Yeah, like I can read my bees like well enough that I know when I go into a beehive, I know they're going to be calm. And I do sometimes go in, barehanded, just with a veil. Like that's my favorite veil. It's so pretty and cute. And
it is cute.
I love it. And I just, bee stings are like a sensitizing reaction. So you can be not allergic to bees forever, and then all of a sudden you're allergic to bee stings. It's just, how your body develops, antibodies. So, I don't know how to feel about like when people post like on TikTok or whatever, that they're, saving a beehive or rescuing beehive from like a house and they're not wearing any protection or anything like that. I feel like that's mostly for like views. I don't think that's safe. Like that's,
I think it's promoting something that's like unsafe.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I want to be safe. I want anybody who's around the beehive to be safe. So I definitely recommend protection. And when I wear like the full suit, and I wear gloves. Like I wear like dish gloves, like dishwashing gloves, you know. The leather gloves, I wore them forever. They're really bulky and goofy, but the dish gloves are so much better to work with. And I don't squish any bees. Like that makes them very angry. If you squish one bee, that's it. They're like freaking out.
Oh my God, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's all it takes. I killed one of their sisters, and they're like,
they're done. They're like, we're coming.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
And it's like once they sting you, that's, you know, they sting the glove or something, they smell that pheromone, that's defend your hive time. So
okay.
yeah, so I don't know why, like when people do like videos with the no, you know, protection, I do. I feel like that's like sending like not a good message out. Like you should protect yourself, especially if you're like getting into it.
That's crazy that like any member of the hive can like smell it when one of them stings someone, and just know like that means one of them's attacking, so we're all attacking.
Exactly. Yeah.
Crazy.
I've seen people like do like a spray of some sort to like calm them down, I think.
I think they use sugar water.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's I've seen that. I've seen that happen. Like it's a good thing, and then it's a bad thing. So sometimes it works, and then other times it just makes them more angry. And start coming at you. Usually the bees will give you like a bump first before, you know,
stinging
they sting you. So if you kind of look out for that, if she's bumping you, then it means like back up, like back away. I'm giving you the courtesy before stinging you. I had that happen. I dropped off one of my beehives to one of my homeowners' properties. And when I opened up, you know, the hive, they started all flying around. They're all, you know, pissed off. Like they were, you know, in the truck and driving over to their house. It was not a far drive, but it still made them upset. And when I opened up the hive, they were like bumping me like crazy, and I didn't freak out or anything, just walked away, and she flew off. But I know that's hard to do because, you know, one of the main things, you just want to swat at you know, a bee that's getting ready to maybe sting you. But
I have kind of a weird question. So, and this is literally just me trying to think like a bee. Like I'm trying to understand how their brains work. So I guess because they're so social, they have a queen bee. You have worker bees, like they know that everything they do is like for the good of the hive.
Yeah.
So I guess they have to know that like when we sting, we die, because they see it happen to other bees. So I'm sure they don't want to sting you.
Exactly.
But I'm sure they see themselves as like, well, I'm just one bee out of this whole hive, and like that doesn't matter because like I'm gonna do it to protect the hive, right?
Yeah.
Am I thinking too much into it?
It's like their last ditch effort. Every worker bee has a purpose. Like, so they like I said, when I accidentally squish a bee putting the frame back, they all freak out because like they needed her.
Yeah.
So that is literally like their last ditch effort. And
gotcha.
Usually, you know, you have to be like really manhandling something around the hive or in the hive for them to like want to sting you. Or it could just be like one of those like rogue bees. Like I was walking in my backyard one time and a bee stung me for no reason. Like I wasn't even near the hive and she stung me. And I was like, you know,
what's your problem?
Yeah. And then like now that like researching it, you know, bees get a little cranky during times when there's like not a lot of like nectar around the area. So they're hungry. They're like, you're near our hive, so get out of here, and I'm gonna sting it, you know. So it's you know, it is what it is. But another fascinating thing is like about like right in front of the beehives. If you are in front of a beehive, there's guard bees, and if you get too close, they're the ones that'll come up and try to either sting you or bump you. So that's another one of their jobs.
They have guard bees. They really assign everything to somebody. I love it.
Yeah, it's really cool. You can tell a guard bee from like another bee like entering or exiting the hive. Is she's just standing there and she's got her like her front arms like up,
like ready to go.
basically ready to go. Yeah.
Wow.
That's
And
amazing.
she'll check every bee coming in. So if it's like a wasp that comes in, she'll fight the wasp off.
Oh, does that happen?
Yes.
Do wasps try to get into beehives?
Yes, they do. So they're like so they'll try to eat the honey, maybe even try like larvae or something. Yeah. So late in the summer, like August, September, they'll a lot of beekeepers report like wasp like a lot of wasps like trying to attack their hives, and if it's a weak hive, the wasps will take over.
Oh, really?
So that's why like a lot of beekeepers don't like wasps, but they have a purpose. They they do good.
That's so fascinating.
Yeah.
What other predators do they have besides humans and wasps?
Skunks.
Skunks.
Bears are a big one.
Because bears love honey.
Yeah. Anything that like can try to either open up the box or like go at the bees and like at the entrance of the hive. So like possums, skunks, raccoons, even mice are a problem. They'll try to get in and nest. They're not like a problem where they're going to like take over the entire hive, but if the hive is small, the mouse will move in and they'll start eating some of the honey.
Mm-hmm.
And then it might live there for like the entire winter time. Or if the bees, kill it, they'll propolize it and mummify it.
Yeah. I can imagine a lot of animals want that honey.
Yeah, it's delicious.
Can you guys hear like my dog barking?
Mm-mm.
No.
Okay.
No.
Good. I can never tell with the mic. Sometimes it doesn't pick up.
I kind of can, but who cares?
Okay. And it sounds louder in person, so I never know.
Do you have any more questions, Rach?
What do I think?
I have one more, but it's like a wrap-up question, I think.
I do have like one more. So have you ever like gone out? Has anyone ever contacted you and said like, oh, I have a hive like somewhere. Can you like get it for me?
Yes. So I've been contacted for swarms. And I've also been contacted about just taking a hive. So I did that this past year. The lady, she was older. She was moving and she's like, I can't take care of the hive anymore. Can you take it? And I was like, of course. Yeah. And so I took her hive. And she was like, it's, free, you can just take it. So she also had like a ton of like boxes and stuff like that. And she's like, you can have it all. So that was awesome. That's free bees. And then, anytime like, I get a call for a swarm, it's basically, have you guys ever heard of a swarm of bees? When you think of when you hear a swarm of bees?
I think angry bees.
Yeah. Like
okay.
They're all flying together.
So a swarm of bees is actually just a cluster of bees like in a tree or on a fence post or something like that. And that happens when the queen bee leaves the hive. And so that's like their natural way of procreating is, the queen will leave when she feels like this hive is sufficient and they're like good. She'll leave with half the hive. So half the population of the bees will leave with her. And then this hive will raise their new queen. And then this hive will just be like in a branch, like a cluster of bees. And usually they're like pretty docile, but they'll still defend themselves if, we come up close to them or whatever.
Are they homeless? Is that why they're in the tree?
They're homeless. Yeah.
Wow.
So they're clustered up, and then they have these scout bees that go out and look for spots to, make
build a new one.
Exactly. So usually it'll be like inside of a tree trunk, or unfortunately inside somebody's attic or on the side of their house, something like that. So before that happens, that's when like a beekeeper will come and take the bees. And again, that's free bees. It's awesome.
I mean, and I feel like some people that are like just don't know any better could like try to like get rid of it themselves the incorrect way. So I think it's amazing that some people know to call a beekeeper to just come get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or try to kill them, which is
exactly.
terrible.
Like people would try
Yeah.
to kill them if they didn't know any better.
That happened actually, like on live TV. A swarm of bees went into like a baseball park, and they called a beekeeper, and the beekeeper came and sprayed them, and they got like so much
That's not a
backlash.
beekeeper. That's an exterminator.
pest
Yeah, the
control.
stadium got like so much backlash, and then like I get like that's why'd you do that? Just get a real beekeeper, and they could have just scooped them, and you could have proceeded with the game. Everything would have been fine. Like they literally, like I could literally take the branch and put it in my car if I wanted to. They're not going to move. But
really?
Usually what you do is you'll take the branch and you have a box underneath, and then you shake it, and all the bees fall in, and then they won't leave that box, and you take them home.
Wow.
Yeah, and then you have a new colony.
I'd be so scared to put it in my car. That's fascinating.
I would put the box together and make sure there's no bees flying around, but usually they're pretty docile.
Okay. So they can't get out of the box once they get in?
Yeah, I just have like tiny holes, so they're not gonna like come out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're not flying around your car.
Yeah, exactly.
That's an accident waiting to happen.
Yeah.
So we are unfortunately running out of time again. So I do want to ask this question before we start to wrap up. It's kind of, I just always like to ask this question to all of our guests. I always ask them what makes their specialty a secret in nature. And yours maybe isn't so much a secret, but I do want you to share with us in your own words why maybe the importance and the function of bees could be a secret in nature.
Well, to me, I feel like when I go out and I inspect my beehives, first of all, I'm already out in nature. Like
totally.
My homeowners' properties, like my bees are in her woods. So I'm going out, there's mushrooms and stuff growing all over the place. It's amazing. And I'm seeing my bees, they're flying in and out. And it's like such a quiet and peaceful, amazing experience that, it's just like a personal thing. Like nobody's around, like, and I just go in and, everything's quiet and I'm talking to my bees, and like, it's just fascinating. And, it's like they can feel me being relaxed, and then they're relaxed. And then it's like a great experience. It's like meditation. It's like I'm out there and it's a secret. Like nobody really is bothering me, and I'm just with my bees.
That's so amazing.
Yeah.
You like romanticize that so much. I love it.
I know. It sounds so nice. I'm like, can I be a beekeeper?
Yes,
it sounds therapeutic.
It is so therapeutic. And a lot of there's a local business, they do veterans even beekeep. It's like beekeeping for veterans, and it helps with post-traumatic stress.
No way.
Beekeeping is so good. Like it really is therapeutic. Once you start to realize like the bees aren't attacking you or anything like that, and you're lifting up the frames and you're looking at everybody, like it's so relaxing. You forget about all the worries in the world, and it's just you and your bees.
Oh, you're selling me. I'm quitting my 9 to 5.
I know. Sounds so nice.
Yeah, it's really awesome for it to be my full-time job now.
Oh, yeah, that's so amazing. Cool. Please tell us where we can find you, where we can buy your merch. Oh, I don't want to call it merch. where we can buy your products. Tell us where we can find you.
So we're actually listed in 3 stores. The Mercantile at Doylestown, it's in Doylestown.
Okay.
And then Makers Off Main is also in Doylestown. And then the Craft Hive is up in Point Pleasant. But we also have a website. It's www.backyardbuzzpa.com. And then our Instagram, which I like putting up like our, like our honey and like our gift baskets and stuff like that, but also like really awesome facts about beekeeping and bees and pollinators. And we're backyard_buzz_PA.
Okay. Cool. We'll definitely have to tag you when we post about that.
Thank you.
This was such a fantastic interview. I cannot thank you enough for carving time out of your day and doing this with us.
Thank you guys. This was awesome.
Yeah, thank you so
And
much.
I'm really not kidding about the YouTube video. So if you're down, we will come to the Hive. I don't know if you have spare suits, but I totally want to see the hives.
Okay.
Yeah. That'd be
definitely. I mean, I'll be huge at that, in springtime, but whatever.
Oh my gosh, yes. So congratulations.
Oh yeah.
So what will that look like? Well, because I guess you and your mom are partners.
Yeah, we're partners.
So will she take over for a little bit while you're
when I was pregnant with my daughter, I worked through it. I'll probably do it again.
Well, if it's as relaxing.
Right? Yeah, exactly. It's relaxing, and it's just if I have to when I have to lift like heavy boxes, I'll probably bring my husband out.
Right.
Do all the lifting.
But it doesn't seem like beekeeping is really like a strain, so why stop?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Okay, well, I think that's all the questions we have for you. And again, thank you so much. This was insanely educational.
Yeah, thank you for sharing all that information with us.
Thank you guys. This was really awesome.
Yes, and we cannot wait to connect in the future.
Yeah.
Me too. Yeah, this is great.